Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're a team of two working on a 2D action-adventure RPG called A-NOMA-LY. For the last few months, we've been creating the simulation area. The simulation area has been built for the purpose of taking the player for a tutorial to teach them how to play the game, or if you haven't played in a while, to remind you how to play the game. On the flip side, for us devs, it's been hugely beneficial for us because we use the simulation area as a place to build systems and test mechanics without having a fully polished scene, and that's really sped up the development process for us. So in this video, we'll be showing you guys how we built and designed the framework for the tutorial, but you won't really see much of the player actually exploring the tutorial area. We're gonna save that for a future video. I'm sure this video has been highly anticipated, especially by our Twitch family, so I'm just gonna shut up and hand over to my mini-me because she'll be taking you through the journey. Imagine this, you bought our game, you're fully immersed into the story, and you know the game mechanics like the back of your hand. But then, as usual, life happens, and before you know it, it's been days, which turn into weeks, and all of a sudden, it's been 5 months since you've played. Well, the simulation area is a perfect place for you to brush off the cobwebs and reintroduce yourself to the game before you dive back into the story. And that's just one scenario where the simulation area will be useful. The first time you enter, you'll get the option to either proceed with a thorough tutorial or explore the simulation area yourself and choose what you'd like to do. Overall, it's somewhere you can always come back to, no matter what point you're at in the game. If you're someone that likes combat games, then having a training stage won't be a foreign concept to you. They often show you all the moves that a character can do and will also teach you how to achieve these moves step by step. Tekken and Streets of Rage 4 are two games that especially inspired us when designing our simulation area, even in terms of the design. Shifu is another great example that implements a really fun training stage where you can fight the enemies that you come across as you progress through the game. I couldn't tell you the amount of times Proje and I spent in that training room just trying to figure out Kuroki's attack patterns. Why was Kuroki so difficult when she wasn't even the final boss? Like, I just don't understand. But anyway, with these inspirations and references, we are ready to start designing our very own simulation area. First, we created some tiles. I wanted to go with a blue theme for the room, and like Streets of Rage 4, I kept the colours monotone since it would just be in the background. Just to add a bit of depth, I designed some squares to go on the walls as well. We may add some more details in the future, but for the time being, I think we have a good base. Plus, when we start adding objects, it'll fill up the environment a bit more. But if you guys have any ideas, let us know in the comment section below. Then I created some alleyways, which allows for the player to hide. This did take some time to wrap my head around, and it will probably be very interesting to set up with some code, but I think it'll be a really cool feature. And with that, the environment for the simulation area was complete. Next, we started to plan out the player's experience and how we wanted them to go through the tutorial. The tutorial will be split into 3 sections. The movement area, which is for you to practice basic movements. The interaction area, for you to learn about how to interact with objects in the world and what those objects do. And the combat area, for you to practice combat against training dummies and enemies. As exciting as all of these sound, we won't be seeing them a backflip or fighting in this video just yet, but that'll be for a future video which is gonna be so worth the wait. Like I mentioned before, this is just about the framework for what you'll encounter in the training area and how we've designed it. First up is movement. In any game, the first thing the player learns is how to move, so it made sense to start planning an area for the player to practice movement. We started creating objects that we would use as an outline, which was our canisters. We used the canisters to mark out the direction that the player would be going in. As you can see in the clip, you can see just how big our old canisters used to look compared to our updated ones. In our last video, we spoke about how we've downsized all of our sprites, so the canister is obviously going to need to be downsized too. But while I was at it, I decided to make it look a bit nicer now that my pixel art style has improved. Also, I think it'll be a good idea to design different variations of it. Maybe one of the lid missing or another one that's been tipped over. That way you guys aren't seeing the same canister again and again. Next, we designed some roadblocks, which would prompt the player to vault over them. I had designed some roadblocks before in our old art style, but I prefer these ones much better, especially the angle that I drew them in. It makes it more obvious that the player can interact with them. I may still draw the old ones again, but those would be for design only. Next up, we have the interaction section for the player to learn about interactable objects and the uses of them. First up is my personal favourite, our vending machine. You can see the previous version which I referenced to draw a new one, however I switched up the style slightly. These vending machines have been modded to give you guys opportunity to buy items that you may have run out of, such as health cores, which replenish your health, and battery packs, which replenish your energy. These items are already in the game, but we're planning to add a lot more items for you to buy. At the time of creating the vending machine, health cores and battery packs were the only items that we plan to sell, so the interface will need to be recreated when we add our new items, but you get the vibe we're going for. Looking back at the interface now, it was some desperate need of a user experience makeover. There was no purchase button, you couldn't select how many items you wanted to buy, and items definitely could have benefited from a simple description. It was one of those things where, at the time, it made sense to me because I was the one that made it, but to you guys who've not played the game before, it probably would have been strange to figure out. But I've started sketching a new interface in Procreate, so I'm excited to redesign it and show you guys the updated vending machine in one of our upcoming videos. Then we have generators, which you can absorb energy from. Generators have two states. When the light is green, that means you can absorb energy from it. Then of course when it's red, there isn't any energy to absorb. Designing this was actually a lot of fun. I was dreading it for a while because it was one of those things that I'd never drawn before. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes as a creative person, the flow state takes over, and before you know it, whatever you're working on comes out looking better than you imagined. If you relate, let me know. Also, I completely forgot to record myself designing the gens, which is so frustrating. We'll do better next video. There's still a few more interactable objects that we'd like to create, but so far we're really happy with how these two came out. Lastly, we'll talk about the combat section. Once you've got through the basics of the simulation area, you'll finally get to explore the main attraction, which is combat. So far, we've designed a training dummy for you to practice combos with, and like the games we spoke about before, we'll give you guys a list of controls to reference so you can master them. Not only that, but you'll be able to fight against some enemies that are in the game too. So far, we've designed the optics bot and the compact bot, and are currently developing the AI behavior. We've also designed foot soldiers, but those sprites need to be scaled down and redrawn. You'll get to see them in a future video too. After you're completely comfortable with combat, you'll have the chance to put together all your knowledge and infiltrate a simulated outpost. So initially, we had created a bot charging station that could be infiltrated by the player by hacking into their systems. But Proj recently came up with the idea to place them in enemy outposts instead. That way they're not just randomly stationed on the street. Think Far Cry in terms of how their enemy outposts look. We want to have a similar feeling. The point of infiltrating the outpost is to gain control over that district and to also reduce the amount of security there is patrolling the streets. The more outposts there are, the more difficult it will be for you guys to explore. Like Far Cry, it's up to you whether you want to be stealthy about it or just stroll right in ready for a fight. Once you've cleared the outpost, you'll find vaults which contain loot like money, healing items, and smoke grenades. So if you weren't convinced before, maybe you are now. So we don't have much to show in terms of the outpost at the moment, but we have started to create some of the artwork for it. The bot charging station and the hacking minigame do work, but I think we'll be polishing and redrawing some of the artwork to fit our new style. Just a quick alpha progress update. The alpha features a stealth mission where you'll be evacuating civilians from the dangers of District O and transferring them to your safe house in District D. From what we've shared so far, you guys haven't seen much based on this fact, but we're using the simulation area as a place to develop the player combat and other cool mechanics, so that once each mechanic is ready, we can begin to implement these into our actual game world. Think of the simulation area as a construction site for us to build in, and for you guys to play around in without needing the polish that our actual game world will need. Then once you've taken in your feedback and are 100% happy with our cool mechanics, we'll move on to building the world of Iken City. On that note, if you'd like the chance to playtest the simulation area, make sure you join the Discord and check out our social media, where we'll be announcing updates about development and upcoming playtests. So there it is, progress. This video was so long overdue. I really hope it was worth the wait, and I'm just really happy that you guys are now on the same page as us, because I remember when I used to stream and I hated the fact that I couldn't even open up with Unity because I knew we weren't ready to present the simulation area to you guys. But now the cat's out the bag. It feels great. Let me know what you guys think about the simulation area, and if you think you'd be interested in becoming a tester, then make sure you join the Discord so that you're notified when we start taking in playtesters. If you guys want to connect with us on other social media platforms, I'll leave them down in the description below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.